Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. Find out why all great artists are thieves. Who do you think is the most famous thief ever? Maybe John Dillinger? Or who stole the great train? But what if it was really Picasso or Dali? Every great piece of art has another great piece of art behind it. Creative work doesn't just happen by itself, it's the result of years and years of hard work by artists. Any good artist would take as much as he could from this artistic history. In other words, he wouldn't be afraid to steal someone else's idea. You'll learn how your artistic heroes can inspire you and how to make it as an artist in the modern world. There is no such thing as art that is completely unique. What makes a piece of art good? People often think that originality is what makes something great. Art can only be great if it's something no one else has seen. This can make it hard for artists to make art that is completely new. But no matter how hard they try, they'll never succeed. Picasso, Dali, and W.B. Yeats are not the only artists or works of art in the world. All art is made up of the things that influence the artist. Artists are not original at all, they take, or steal, what others have done and then take it one step further. The Beatles, for instance, first played songs by other artists. They didn't start writing their own songs until they were good at what their idols did. In a way, artistic influences are like genes. The genes of each child are a mix of those of their parents. The DNA of a person is not new or unique, but what it makes is. This means that you can't start making art until you find the right art to copy or build on. So fill your home with art that you would want to steal. Making your own artistic family tree is a good way to do this. First, find an artist or other creative person whose work you really like. Then, put their pictures on your wall, try to figure out what made them tick, and learn the techniques they use to make the work you love. Next, you can learn about 3 people who influence the person whose work you like and repeat the process with them. You can do this for as long as you want. The more branches your tree has, the more ideas you can take from it and use in your own work. In the end, you should think of yourself as the newest part of a tree. When you feel like you're part of the legacy of great artists, you'll be even more motivated to create. Start by acting like your heroes, and when you're done, try to be like them. So there is no truly original art. But that doesn't mean you can just take someone else's work and pass it off as your own, does it? In fact, it kind of does. You can't steal someone else's work by passing it off as your own, but copying someone is different and a great way to start. When you first start out, you probably won't know what you want to make. At this point, it's very helpful to act like your heroes. So find someone whose work you really like and try to be like them. This is more than just copying their art. Do everything they did. Find out how they lived and what made them want to work. Nick Cave is just one of many musicians who got their start by copying their favorite artists. As you keep trying to be like your idols, you start to see that you're not at all like them. You won't be able to do exactly what they did in some places. When you find these weaker areas, you'll have found your niche, your own way of making art. You should start taking advantage of these weak spots. Emulation is the word for this. This is how Conan O'Brien, a comedian and talk show host, got his start in the business. At first, he tried to be like David Letterman, but he couldn't do it quite right. But his differences made him stand out, and he turned out to be nothing like his idol. David Letterman wanted to be like Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson wanted to be like Jack Benny. Each of these men started out by trying to be like the people who came before them. They then found something that made them different and built their careers around that. Where they didn't copy their heroes turned out to be what made their careers and work what they were. Don't give up your hobbies and other projects just because you want to focus on art. When you first start out as an artist, you might feel like giving up your hobbies and side projects so you can focus on your work. This might seem like a good idea, but putting limits on yourself in this way can hurt your happiness and productivity. This is because of a few things. First of all, your hobbies and other projects give you something to do when you can't think of anything to write. What will you do if you get stuck on a project if you only work on that one? Most likely, you'll just try to get through it. Most likely, all your work will be for nothing, and you'll get mad at yourself. Your work will also go downhill. When you let your mind wander, you often come up with new ideas and get inspired. So it's good to have a few side projects that can keep you from focusing on your main one. They can give you the mental space you need to come up with new ideas. You don't even have to be creative in your side projects. You'll get the same result whether you spend time on housework or just let yourself put things off every now and then. It's also important to keep up with your hobbies, because if you stop doing them, you might feel empty. How can you be truly creative if you can't take a break and do something fun every now and then? No matter how dedicated you are to your main project, If you don't give yourself time to relax, you'll always feel like something is missing. When the author gave up playing guitar to focus on art, he found this out. He also felt empty until he just gave himself permission to play the guitar again for fun. He was happier and more whole, and his art also got better. Share your work with other people if you want to become famous, but enjoy the benefits of being unknown first. Want to be well known? There are a lot of us who do. Some artists try to get famous as quickly as possible, but this is not the way to go. Long term, it's great to want to be well known, but when you first start out, being unknown can help your career. Being unknown lets you try new things and make mistakes. When people know you, they will look at every part of your work. There will be a lot more pressure on you to make great art. Also, it will be harder to try new things because people will have high hopes for you. They will complain if you try something new and it doesn't work out. When you're not well known, you don't have these problems. If no one knows who you are, you can do whatever you want and make as many mistakes as you want. In the end, though, you do want to stand out. So, how should I go about doing that? It's actually pretty simple. You need to let other people see your work. And the internet makes it easier than ever to do this. You can tell people about anything, as long as it shows how much you care. It can be your finished work you're still working on, doodles, research, or tips on how you work. All that matters is that your audience gets a sense of what you're like. People will feel closer to you if you invite them to share your passion and sense of wonder. Also, they'll be more likely to want to come back for more. So start a blog, website, or post your work somewhere else online. It's an important part of becoming an artist. Make a place to work that inspires you, but don't forget to get out once in a while. In the 1800s, people who wanted to be moved by powerful art had to go to the Mediterranean to see the great statues and frescoes of the Renaissance. You just need to turn on your computer or phone these days. This means that artists can look at and make art without leaving their homes. If you want to be as creative as possible, you need to plan your home environment carefully. You should naturally surround yourself with things that inspire you, like the work of your favorite artists. But this is not all. You should also make sure that your workspace suits all of your creative needs. Many artists have computers and other gadgets all around them. All of their work is made on computers with programs like Illustrator and Photoshop. But the computer isn't always the best way to come up with new ideas. Use both your hands. Creating models, sketches, or even just writing in a notebook can help people get creative. The author made his book, Newspaper Blackout, by printing out his text, cutting it up, and rearranging the pieces. This gave him more room to try things out and work better than moving things around on a computer screen. So make sections in your office. Have a place for your digital tools and a place where you can work with your hands. Also, don't forget that artists can work from home, but it's good to move away at least once. Don't get too comfortable, or you'll get bored, which will hurt your work. Moving to a new city or country can be very inspiring and help you see things from a different point of view. The author is from Texas, but she has also lived in England and Italy. His life and work changed after he moved abroad. Pay attention to the compliments you get and don't let the criticism get to you. The internet is a great way to get creative, but it also has some bad things about it. If you put your work online, people who don't like you or your art will say mean things and criticize it. When people bother you or criticize you, don't let it get you down, and don't stop making things. Ignore the bad things people say, or let your anger drive you. When you talk to your critics too much, you can waste a lot of time. If you spend all day answering mean emails, you won't have time to make new work or improve what you already have. If you can't help getting angry, at least try to do something good with it. If you can use your anger to come up with new ideas, it can be a good thing. Kleon, for example, sometimes reads his hate mail in the morning because it motivates him to get up and work. The internet is full of stupid people who are mean and mean-spirited, but it will also give you a lot of praise. Listen to that praise, and don't forget to keep giving praise to others. Another great way to make work meaningful is to praise others. You could, for example, write a blog post about your favorite author or a piece of work that was inspired by your hero. The more you praise other people, the more praise you'll get in return. Make a praise file to make the most of the praise you get. Save the emails, tweets, and comments that make you feel good. When you're feeling down, pull out your praise file and remind yourself that people like what you do. It'll give you a nice boost. What are the conclusions? No piece of art is completely original, every artist steals. So, if you want to steal effectively, you should learn about your heroes, try to be like them, and give yourself a good place to work. Keep up with your hobbies and get out of your comfort zone. When you're done enjoying the benefits of being unknown, promote yourself online. In the end, you'll use what you've learned to make something new, which will in turn inspire others. What you should do to put what you've learned to use. Don't worry too much about your work. Don't spend all your time on your art. Take breaks, have fun, and pay attention to other things as well. Don't stay locked up in your studio either. Push yourself to move to a new city or country and then explore. Keeping a healthy distance from your art will actually make it better, and you'll feel much happier and more satisfied. Thanks for watching.